In this video, I'm going to give you the keys that unlock the gateway to accessing the gifts within every trigger that you experience within your life. You will no longer get stuck in the triggers that you experience in your life and get caught up in the drama of life and be able to move through the triggers with insight, love, and gratitude. Now, the first thing that you get to understand is that our triggers are our greatest teachers. My mentor always says, the gift is in the shit. Now, I want to tell you guys a story. Growing up, whenever I would get into trouble as a kid, whether I didn't do what my parents wanted me to do and it was time for me to be punished, I would either get a spanking or get grounded or some type of punishment. And whenever I was in that experience, and I was just an innocent child that made some innocent mistake, and I felt like I needed to explain myself, something that my parents would do was like, stop talking, otherwise we're going to give you 2 spankings. Stop talking or we're going to ground you for 2 weeks instead of 1. And I would immediately shut down and close and feel rejected. And what I noticed as I went through my life, as I got older, I got into high school and I had peers, anytime I was in confrontation, I noticed that if there was some type of conflict with me and someone, I would immediately shut down and close. I would almost get choked up, kind of heavy in my chest, heavy in my throat, kind of choked up and a little teary-eyed. Especially if they said, oh, I'm done with this conversation. I don't want to, I'm done. Okay, I get it. And they wouldn't let me explain myself. I would get really triggered. And for the longest time, I didn't know where this came from. And I was living unconsciously and allowed this trigger to just keep showing up in my life. And then one day I learned that the gift is in the shit. Our triggers are our greatest gifts. And the next time that an experience like this happened, when I was in conversation with a friend, I noticed I got triggered when they shut me down. They're like, no, I don't want to hear it anymore. I'm done with this conversation. And when I didn't get to explain myself, instead of suppressing and repressing or getting mad and blaming or trying to project onto other people or just avoid what I was feeling, now, this time I asked myself, okay, what am I really feeling? What's really going on? Why am I triggered? Where is this coming from? And as soon as I sat down, took a couple breaths and got present with it, and the next thing I know, I started bawling. And it was that little boy inside, that little child inside, that didn't feel heard and seen, didn't feel safe to express himself or explain himself, didn't feel fully heard and seen or worthy to be heard and seen. And I started bawling. And I had an underlying root belief that said, I'm not worthy to be heard and seen. And this was manifesting and showing up in my relationships and in my life. And this shine the light of awareness. I shined the light of awareness on this, and I got to, over time, shift it to, I am worthy to be heard and seen. It has nothing to do with me. It has everything to do with them. It has people not hearing and seeing me. I hear and see myself and give myself the love. Now, I had a whole healing from this experience because I chose to get curious about the trigger that was in my body and ask where it was coming from. Now, this is super key. Our triggers are a gateway into the unconscious. They show you what's operating unconsciously. Life will reflect things back to you that aren't fully healed and processed in your body, and they will trigger it in you to show you what part of you still gets to be healed, loved, and accepted. And this is why triggers are our gifts. And now I see triggers as a blessing. Anytime I get triggered, I'm not projecting and getting mad. Now it's, oh, thank you for triggering me, which is a total game changer, a total reframe. So now when you're going through life, you have a completely new association to being triggered. You're not mad at whatever triggered you. Now it's a tool, it's an awareness, it's an operation that can heal you and provide deeper growth and awakening and insight to who you really are. Now, Unless you've done some deep inner work, our pre-7-year-old is running our life. Our inner child is running our life. All of our main beliefs and core ideas and identity of how we believe and think and feel about ourselves is formed from the ages 0 to 7. And when you get triggered, sometimes it's actually not even the thing that's triggering you, it's just triggering something within you that's reflecting a deeper wound that hasn't been fully healed and accepted. Something from your past. See, I got triggered and I got really choked up and sad when someone didn't let me fully share what I wanted to share, which is completely out of my control. But they wouldn't let me fully share, and I would get really emotional. And when I really tuned in, it was just that little boy inside that didn't feel heard and seen. And now, you know what's interesting? I don't get triggered anymore. And I'm able to move through that. And whenever it comes up, oh, thank you for letting me know you're still there. I love you. And remember, this is what we're now choosing. And now I did that enough times. So now when I'm in that circumstance, it's like, oh, it's okay. They just didn't want to hear it. I love myself. I can't control that. And now it's completely gone. And this is how we can begin healing in a deep way and using life as a training ground, a playing ground, a learning experience. Because do you want to be triggered? Who wants to be triggered the rest of their life? I mean, obviously, there is always going to be something that triggers us, but this perspective and approach gives you the opportunity to move through triggers and get to a place where a lot of what used to trigger you doesn't anymore. And there's always going to be the next layer, the next level, the next layer of healing and expansion. But it gets easier over time and you expand into more love and you let go of things and ideas and things that no longer serve you, that block you from creating your dream life. So begin to see your triggers as a gift. See them as a blessing. Say thank you for them and get curious about what they really are. And ask yourself, are you projecting it onto the world around you? Or are you taking responsibility for how you feel and noticing what you're really feeling? It's a direct message, a line of communication to your unconscious. And that is a gift because it's unconscious. A lot of times we don't even know it's operating. So triggers are such a gift in that way because they show you where you get to heal. And when you begin to commit yourself to this, life becomes so much more lighter, so much more joyful because it takes you out of the victim role. She made me feel this way. He made me feel this way. The world made me feel this way, and I can't do anything to change it. I'm a victim. I don't have any power. It's powerlessness. And if you want to be empowered, you get to take responsibility and ownership, full ownership for how you feel and how you think. And noticing your triggers as a gift is one of the greatest ways you can support yourself in taking responsibility because now, I know, like you're not saying you made me feel this way. You're saying, I notice I feel this way. Why is that? And what do I really want? Now you're taking responsibility. Now you're taking ownership. And now you are behind the steering wheel of your consciousness and setting the sail towards your dreams. This is the key that sets you free to be able to liberate yourself from past wounds and traumas, to come into the present moment and heal what's really there so you can experience more love, freedom, and abundance. Because these triggers and things are coming up to the surface to be released, not to be repressed and suppressed again, not to avoid and distract. That energy is always in you and is blocking you from receiving more joy, love, and abundance. So as you begin to take responsibility, you take ownership, now you are in the creator seat. For you are being a conscious creator, taking responsibility, and you are responsible now for how you think and how you feel. And once I started really applying this and approaching this, my life transformed before my eyes. So use your triggers as a gift. Use them as an opportunity for growth. No longer blaming on the world and staying in victim and victim mentality and staying stuck because you don't want to take responsibility for your feelings. This is what I got to realize for myself, and it brought me so much healing. That's why one of my greatest values, do you value projecting and blaming, or do you value growth more? Growth is my number one value, which means that anything I'm experiencing, I see it through the lens of growth. How can this support me in growing? So I get triggered, cool. How can this help me grow? How can I learn to be more love? Yogananda said life is a school. Love is the lesson. So begin to love ourselves more and love other people more so we can live a more peaceful and balanced and harmonized life. I love you guys. Hope you got value out of this. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.